Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
Scale. It's the magical concept, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that can see a small business become a multi-million-dollar enterprise. So how did one pharmacist with 2 outlets build a company that now groups together about a fifth of Australia's chemists? From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Simon Reynolds is the founder of Pharmacy Alliance, a member-based organisation that now reaches into every corner of this country. In this episode, he recounts his journey over the last 20 years and frankly outlines mistakes he's made. And he's got some advice for other small business people who want to achieve scale. He starts by explaining the nature of his business to Jeff Waters.
The Pharmacy Alliance is now a national business. We represent independent pharmacy business owners, so all small businesses from all around Australia, every state and territory, and we run them as a member-based organisation where we provide services and products to those stores, run centrally through a head office here in Melbourne.
So how many staff would be involved?
So after our recent merger, which gives us that scale of 1,200 pharmacies of the sort of nearly 6,000 pharmacies nationally, we have nearly 200 staff across 3 offices. We've got an office in Sydney, office in Melbourne, and also a warehousing facility out of the back of Melbourne as well.
Okay, well, we'll get to the merger in a minute, but let's go back to the very beginning. You graduated yourself as a pharmacist and started work, I believe, in one of your father's 2 pharmacies in the far south of Western Australia. Where were they and what was the business like then?
Yeah, well, very different, but a lot of similarities as well, Jeff. So I finished in the mid-90s, became a pharmacist because I said I was basically born in the back of a dispensary. Mum and Dad both worked in small business, so we were in and around small business all our lives as children. I remember playing cricket in the internals of a pharmacy with Dad in between prescriptions. So I did pharmacy, and Dad had 2 stores, one in Albany, as you mentioned, down in the south of WA, and also one in a large shopping centre in Perth. So I quickly sort of was thrown into management of those stores and quickly realised that we go to university and we get a science degree, a pharmacy degree, but we know very little about business management. We don't get taught it. I was lucky enough to have a father who had a retail background and could teach me on the job, but we knew nothing about supply chain, nothing about HR, nothing about IT, nothing about systems, processes, branding, marketing. So we were literally thrown into the deep end as scientists running a retail business. We continued to grow, and Dad and I bought another couple of stores over the next sort of couple of years, so that the problem only escalated and got bigger. And then I found I was running these 4 small businesses, overseeing, and I was trying to do the buying, and I was trying to run the staff, and I was trying to understand what was the best way to put these stores together to make them the most profitable they could be. And then as luck or fortune or the universe has it, I met a business consultant who came in, and his name was Tom. And Tom and I started Pharmacy Alliance as it is today. Tom consulted to Dad and I and said, I guarantee whatever I charge you, I'll save you more money, which sounded good enough to me. So we went down on that journey and took that chance, and really the savings that were produced from that consultancy arrangement where we took the small businesses, pulled them apart, we looked at everything from supply chain to marketing to IT to people, and we put them back together in the most profitable and efficient manner, and the savings were massive. So increase in gross profit percentage by 3 to 4 basis points, reduction in operating costs, and it was really phenomenal back then, the amount of savings. And then Tom and I looked at each other and said, I think we've got a business model here. Let's start the business. Let's go 50-50. Let's call it Pharmacy Alliance. And the journey began.
Mazars is an international audit, tax and advisory firm committed to helping clients confidently build and grow their businesses. To find out how Mazars can support your business, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.
So it started as Pharmacy Alliance with 4 pharmacies.
Correct.
All in WA.
All in WA.
And that all sounds very neat and very concise, but could you expand a bit on how you got from that 4 stores to where you are now?
Yeah, I'm chuckling because it was an interesting journey, I think. As a 20-something-year-old pharmacist, Tom had some business experience. He's a little bit older, but we had no business plan. We had no idea how we were going to fund it. We had no investors. We rented an office in the shores of Applecross in Perth, and we're in this big empty office, just the two of us looking at each other.
You and Tom.
Tom and I, with 4 stores, as you said. But I actually had a few friends who I'd done pharmacy with, and they'd gone out and bought pharmacies on their own. And they said, "What are you doing over there? That looks pretty good. Can you come and have a chat to us?" And that was the idea of really where a member-based organisation started. So Tom said, "I'm not going to consult to every small business, but if we can create some scale across independents, a little bit like how Metcash or IGA do in the supermarket channel, and we can aggregate these independents and create scale and economies, then that's the business model." So
then they all make savings.
And they all make savings, and we pass on the savings and we charge a fee for that. So we charge a monthly fee. They would join as members. So we got to 10, 15, 20 stores within WA fairly quickly because no one was doing that within the independent pharmacy market. Around 2005, we thought we need to get onto the East Coast because that's where the population is, that's where all the pharmacies are. Once again, moved over to Melbourne, set up an office in Melbourne, no business plan, no growth plan, no funding plan, unknown what we're doing, still flying by the seat of our pants. Made all the mistakes possible, learnt from the mistakes, tried not to make them twice, and here we are today.
Okay, you've given me a little in there. What were the mistakes? What did you learn?
The biggest one is never take your eye off cash flow. So have a good finance controller, know where the money is, know how you're going to fund your operation. Always make sure you can pay your bills, you can pay the tax man, and you can keep afloat, because there's nothing worse than financial pressure on a business to, creates those cracks. And there's enough pressure in running a business, let alone having the financial pressure as well. And get good advice, get good advice along the way. I think we had some good advice, we had some poor advice. Have good people around you and surround yourself with good advisors.
So you did suffer some financial difficulties after first moving to Melbourne and expanding. How did you address that?
Yes, so we grew too quick, like a lot of businesses do, and we had growing pains and we tried to do too much too quickly. So we tried to invest in our own IT system. We spent money where we didn't need to spend. We were growing for growth's sake, and that created a lot of pain across the business to a point where we had to look for some outside help. All our resources were capped out, and we actually set up a structure that enabled us to go and raise some capital. And we raised some money to bring some investors into the business around that 2006 period.
Now, you've recently merged.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that and what that means for the business?
So once again, scale in our business and leverage, scale creates leverage. As the whole industry within pharmacy, and those that aren't familiar with the pharmacy landscape, is there's 6,000 pharmacies nationally. You've got to be a pharmacist to own a pharmacy, and you can't create more pharmacies. So Wesfarmers are coming into the industry by buying one of the wholesalers. And there's economies with scale. So we realised that as a group of independents, over 700 stores, we need to look at who else was doing similar operations to us. And there was a group called Pharmacy Platform who were our biggest competitor. So a good way to sort of deal with your competition is to come to some arrangement, and we managed to come to an agreement to merge the two groups together.
And what does that mean for the business and its shape?
Yes, obviously, once again, more scale, more national presence, a lot more like-minded pharmacy business owners have come together. So they're fiercely independent. These owners don't want to be part of a large group or a corporate. They want to remain independent, but have the benefits, I guess, behind them to enable them to buy better and have the systems and processes. So it enables us to give more back to the members in terms of whether it's better buying or better systems or better processes.
So you effectively went from 4 of your own pharmacies, well, 2 of your own pharmacies with your late father, Bob, to 4 in Perth and now catering for more than 1,200.
That's correct, yeah.
How long did that take?
So we're proudly 20 years old. The business was formed back in, as we said, 2002 in Perth, and now being 20 years old, it's which has flown by, and I've got the grey hairs to prove it. However, as I said, we've learned a lot of lessons and very proud of getting that scale that we've got today.
Just finally, for a small business person who would like to do what you've done effectively with their business, have you got any tips or advice that you can give them?
Look, I think, Jeff, the biggest advice I could give is don't constrain yourself to what you think you know. So I would go to the store every day. I'd go to the pharmacy as a young pharmacist, and there's always 4 walls on a roof. And the worst thing you can do is constrain yourself to those 4 walls and know what you don't know. So understand that there's a lot of people out there that can help you if you get the right advice, and look at the opportunities when they present themselves. And they may present themselves in very different and unusual ways. But I think if you have an open attitude and a positive attitude towards those opportunities and take them with both hands, then that, I think, is a secret for success.
That was Simon Reynolds, founder of Pharmacy Alliance. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.